some people, what makes sense is cooking your own. And that's really what we did when I was growing up. And so I want to talk about how to make an amazing pot of beans, because there's a lot of fear I find with people, or just, uncomfort there. So that's what I'm really going to take us through. And then I have a snack that I made with better beans. It's just like a simple thing, because you can't really cook beans and serve it to people right away, right? I mean, they take a long time. And yeah, so just to start as a background, I am so passionate about beans. They are amazing. I spent a lot of time studying the food system and what was broken about it, and then really noticing how the health of our nation is declining. And so beans are seeds. They are literally little tiny seeds, where that little white part is where all the water actually enters when you're soaking them, and then they have all the nutrients you need to create new life in that little bean seed. So they're that nourishing, and they give life to our bodies. They are actually a longevity food. They have been linked to longevity in the National Geographic's Blue Zone study of communities across the globe where an above average number of people live to be over 100. So it's really awesome. And these are awesome communities, where there's a lot of love and community, and people have a real raison d'etre for their lives. But one of the common denominators also is that they eat beans on a daily basis. So awesome, right? Let's all eat beans. So I've been out there talking to people about beans for 7 years now, and I thought, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna be so excited about this. We have beans, but I have been in so many fit communities and just a wide variety of communities where people are they kind of turn their nose at me, and they look and they're like, I don't know about beans, because in our country, I think we've sort of gotten scared of beans and wary, and I think there's a multitude of issues. I think one major part is gut health, and so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So if anybody's not into that conversation, leave, because I like talking about that. And then also that beans have been associated with poverty for a long time, right? They're a staple in so many cuisines and cultures that people grow up eating the beans, and they don't want to eat them when they get their affluence. And so they want to, people turn to meat, and they turn to these foods that are actually less nourishing. Beans and corn and root vegetables have built civilizations. They're really a base, and we really want to find our way back to eating more and more of them. But really, this link between people being wary of beans, not really sure about them, is why I'm doing this talk, because if you're out there and say you don't eat beans very much, just a real poll real quick, how many people eat beans every single day? Every single day. How many people eat beans multiple times a week? Yeah, that's awesome. How many people eat beans once a month, maybe? Cool. How many people don't eat beans? No one showed up for that. The people that don't eat beans, they didn't show up. Yeah, so I'm definitely talking to the choir here, a bunch of bean lovers. I find a lot of you awesome people out there. But overall, people are wearing beans, and I think it's because they go and they find people like to cook them sort of al dente in restaurants. I found a lot of restaurants, you come and you get the bean and it's still kind of crunchy a little bit and hard, and they do that for salads a lot that are pre-prepared, and that's actually super hard on your gut. So people will eat the beans and then they're like, no, I can't do beans. Beans don't like me. I like beans, but beans don't like me. I hear that all the time. So we need to know how to prepare them well so that your body can digest them. On the flip side of that too is if you eat beans only once in a blue moon, and say you're going to a big cookout and someone has chili or baked beans and you eat a whole bunch of them right at once and you never eat beans, your gut will be a little like, whoa, I don't know how to deal with all that fiber. And so that's another experience that people really have. And so they have those after effects and they're like, no, I want to avoid beans for the most part because I don't want to be gassy, right? So that's sad to me because, again, beans are this amazingly nutritive food, and so I want people to eat them. So I want you to know how to cook them so that they're easy on your gut, and also just with our product, share a product that is much easier for people to digest, so that they don't have to be afraid of beans, and they don't have to be like, oh, I'm only going to eat them when I don't see anybody or whatever. Or boys like to eat them, I guess, because they think it's funny. That's something I'm learning about. Not funny to me, but so anyways, and just like a little tip here, the more regularly you do eat beans, you're going to develop those enzymes in your gut, and you're going to be able to process them more easily and more easily and more easily. But let's get down to business. I'm going to go through like A to Z of cooking beans. Who here cooks their own beans right now? Sweet, that's awesome. Who never has cooked a pot of beans? Cool, nice. And who's like somewhere in between, and okay. Cool. So I'll do the real rundown. So I literally grabbed a bag of Goya beans off of the shelf. Now, one little pro tip is that if you get a bag of beans off the shelf, you don't know when they were grown, how long they sat in a silo. Beans are a commodity crop, so they can sit in silos for a really long time, mixed from a bunch of different farmers, and then they can sit on the shelf for even longer. And in Italy, they will date the bean by its harvest, because the fresher the bean is, the easier it is to cook, the easier it is to digest. Because as a farmer told me, and I don't quite understand this, but basically like the insides of the bean as it ages kind of wrap up into each other. And so yeah, I mean, that's why some people are like, I can't cook beans, because they get a super hard pot. So awesome source for dried beans is, you probably all know, is Rancho Gordo. They do fresh beans. Zerson is another one in Idaho. They do really, same season, when those beans are coming from. So look into your sources. Also at grocery stores like Whole Foods, where they have high turnover of their bulk bins. That's a really good place, because you know that they're getting those beans in. So the next step after you pick your beans is you put them out and you actually look through them and sort. Goya obviously has like a triple I clean process. There's some really cool funky bean sorting machines that are out there, because really the harvesters come and they collect all of the the pods and everything, and there's these shifters and shakers and blowers. But if you're buying beans, say, from a farmer, you might not have that high of processing. So these are really pretty. I don't know if you guys can see them. There's not really anything to take out, but you want to take out splits or any bean that doesn't look fully mature, or has like a brown spot or something. When you put them to soak, so next step, soak. When you put them to soak too, some might float to the top. Those ones I skim off, because they're not, put them down, see if they float, but those ones are not really able to give new life. That's what I've heard about seeds that float to the top overall, is that they're I don't know what the word is really, but they won't germinate. So you can remove those. So soaking is awesome. And I'll just put a note there, is that a lot of cultures have different theories on this, right? So there's a lot of different methods out there. There's a lot of lore and considerations. And so when you're going to cook your pot of beans, you want to think, okay, what's my top priority? Is it time? Is it taste and texture? Is it how easily can I digest it? I think that's my 3 categories. Anyways, because in Mexico, for example, they're a water scarce community. They never soak their beans. They don't soak their beans. They just cook them from dry, and that's totally cool. And they eat beans forever. But then in other cultures, soaking the bean is a regular, it's part of the process. I definitely recommend soaking your beans, and that's what we do at Better Bean, because it activates those enzymes and then helps bring out the bioavailability of all of those nutrients in the beans. And I'll just reference this. If you can't digest your beans, you're not getting all of those amazing nutrients that are in them. It's just not happening. Your gut's not absorbing them. So you really want them to make those nutrients bioavailable for you. So I've soaked these beans overnight. They're so beautiful. They become these little juicy babies. I think they're so soft and cool to look. One of the reasons I soak black beans for you guys is I wanted to show you the bean juice. And so this is something that a lot of people toss. And it's definitely, if you're going for the easiest to digest pot of beans, toss this water, because you're going to get rid of some of the phytic acids and the oligosaccharides that will come off. But if you're going for flavor, I would say keep your soaking water. And that's actually what we do at Better Bean. We keep our soaking water because these are water-soluble nutrients. This is antioxidants right here. That's that color. The color of food are your antioxidants. So I don't know if you can see, but like these beans are kind of lighter brown than the black. I don't know if you guys want to look at them later. You can see the color. The color really literally came off. And so there's sort of ways that you can deal with this on the later end to help make them more digestible. So yeah, keep your soaking liquid, not your decision. Some other cool things for soaking is brine soaking. That's where you add salt into your soaking, and that makes a really kind of like a nice firm tasty bean, because that salt obviously adds. But one thing that's really important to know is that in cooking, if you cook with salt at the beginning or an acid like tomato sauce, apple cider vinegar, it actually inhibits the water going through that one little white eye. That's where all the water enters, and the salts will get in the way, the acids get in the way, and it makes the beans harder to cook, takes longer to cook, and then it can also make the skins harder themselves. So we add all of our salts and acids at the end of the cooking process. When the beans are soft, we go and check them for softness. But yeah, there's some really cool methods of actually soaking with apple cider vinegar and then tossing that apple cider vinegar, or the same with brine soaking. And it's fun. You guys can test it out and see how you like your beans best. So cooking, just start with the actual beans. You can do that. There's also some really awesome traditional methods of starting with what they call a sofrito. That's the Cuban method, and a lot of other methods. So you take awesome peppers, onions, garlic, saute them in oil and caramelize those flavors together. You can add really awesome spices, coriander. So all of these things, onion, garlic, pepper, coriander, epazote, and there's other herbs, Indian spices. I don't know as much about the whole Indian world of cooking beans, I'll be honest. I'm definitely in more of the Western Hemisphere world. But those herbs and spices, aromatics, they actually help make the beans easier to digest as well. So you're adding those in there helps. That's why they've been traditionally cooked together. So yeah, this sofrito, you kind of caramelize it and you cook the beans on top of it, and it's really amazing flavor-wise, because basically that richness, it's sort of like making a roux for a soup or something, where you brown the oil and flour together, and then it becomes part of that base note of your soup. So that's the same thing with the beans, and you can cook them like that. And you can also literally just like chop some onions, throw them in, just cook them whole plain, just like that they are. It's fine, kind of depending on what recipe you're going for. So I never decide like, oh, I'm going to cook these beans for 1 hour and 40 minutes or whatever it is. You have to try your beans. They change. When we get our beans in from the farmers at the beginning of the season, they are sweet. That's good to know. That's why Zaya's hungry. She's like, I see those. They cook much faster than at the end of the season, when they have gotten drier and drier and drier. So taste your beans, check them throughout the cooking process, and you decide when they're done for what you're making and your desired creaminess level and mushiness level. If you're going for whole beans or you're going for refried beans, you're going to make a different decision there. So she obviously wants a chip really bad, so maybe you guys do too. So we'll just take a little quick interlude. So obviously, right, making beans. I made a really quick salad here, or bean salad sort of thing. I chopped up three tomatoes, a bell pepper, and 1 avocado, but it needs more avocado. Put some lime juice on there, cilantro, a bunch of cilantro chopped up, and then I mixed it with 2 tubs of better beans, or red and black beans. So it has a slight spice, and then you can just eat it with chips. And you guys could totally pass it out now, and everyone can munch So thank you. I really appreciate that. And this is just, easy dip, add lots of veggies, right? We want to eat as many veggies as we can. And here you go, Zaya. I'll just give you a chip so she doesn't spill on my, oh, thank you. No. She loves to feed me. Okay, here you go. For you? No, thank you? Okay, that's good. So yes, I hope you guys all enjoy eating beans, and you can taste the creamy texture of these. Though I will say, I still find in our beans every once in a while these like errant hard beans, because you actually do need to stir your pot while you're cooking because the heat transfer is real. You need to transfer that heat so that they all cook evenly. And even within, we have these white beans that we source, these Great Northerns, and literally they're the most difficult for us to cook, because some of them cook up really, really fast and basically break down, and then the other ones will stay hard, and so they're kind of like a really wonky bean to deal with. Here you go. You want this? Here you go. Yes. Oh, cool. So the question is, if I got it right, if you're making a big pot of beans for a lot of different recipes, like to use over the week, what are your favorite aromatics to put in there? Honestly, I'm a big onion garlic. Just keep it simple. Onion garlic. I think they add a really nice flavor, and then a little salt at the end. I think they add a lot of flavor to the beans, and they keep it simple. I think the dried peppers are really fun always. Yeah, that's sort of my rundown there. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, yeah. Oh, cool. It makes it more what? Oh, cool. Interesting. So in her culture, what is your culture? Huh? Puerto Rican. Yes. Puerto Rican, I'm not as good at that. But they add calabaza pumpkin to their beans, and then I thank you so much for mentioning this, because this is like the secret that I'm talking about. It's this apple cider vinegar at the end of cooking. That is what we do at Better Bean. That is what I would recommend that you all do. Add some apple cider vinegar. You don't need to do too much. Add it at the end of your pot. Your beans will actually last longer in the fridge, so you can keep them on hand. And it actually, after like a day, it will make the beans easier to digest. Like, so when I would be in the kitchen cooking and I'd eat the beans in, I could go home and be kind of gassy, but the next day, or I open a tub, eat them, no after effects. So yeah, definitely. And think about what you're cooking your beans with, and think about the natural, historic, complementary foods. The three sisters are of Native American agriculture are the corn, beans, and squash. And so those naturally go really, really, really well together. What doesn't go very well together? Pinto beans and kale. One morning, I ate those one morning. I was ruined because I was way too much fiber, and I had made my own at home, and it just failed. So yeah, I really, really swear by this apple cider vinegar. There's also some other really cool techniques of adding kombu, which also helps with digestibility. It's a seaweed, and adding seaweeds to any food is really amazing, because you're getting more minerals into your diet, and those sea vegetables, especially if you're vegan, plant-based, sea vegetables are really supportive. She really wants to touch the beans, so I don't know. What's our time check, just so I'm not running over and
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, perfect. Well, I will then open it up to any other questions. I can talk about beans in so many different ways. If anyone has any, or I can just ad-lib off of anything else. Yes. Yeah, so like take your big pot, saute the onions, pepper, coriander, oregano, garlic, or whatever other fun veggies you want to put in there. You can put a mirepoix in, especially if you're doing like white beans, that's carrots, celery, onion. Saute in oil, and then dump the beans, the water, or if you dump the water, add fresh water, and then just cook them directly in that pot. I like to, because I digest beans well, and I put the apple cider vinegar in afterwards. So, but if you're maybe going for a totally different flavor profile and you don't want to, dump your soaking water. Beans still retain a lot of that nutritional profile. You're still getting all of that fiber, all the awesome proteins, a lot of those minerals in there. So they're packed with good nutrition. So you could definitely toss your soaking water. One thing that I think is kind of funny, and you might have experienced this, but I've left beans out to soak for like 3 days before. And if you're wondering, they kind of like foam, get some weird bubbly foam stuff. I definitely tossed the soaking water, then got rid of that water, rinsed them, but the beans are totally safe to cook, and they make a really good pot of beans. Yes? That time I did not. And I was in a warm environment. Actually, one thing that's really, germination happens in a warmer environment. So the refrigerator, you can soak them in there, but you're not going to really get the same effects, or it'll take kind of longer for things. Another little thing that just came to my mind about foam is, if you really want your beans to be easy on your system, that foam that happens while you're boiling, skim it off, get rid of it, because that, don't mix it in, because those are those like oligosaccharides coming up to the top. You want to remove them. Yes? Yeah. Yes. Yes. I don't know, but I didn't know you could make your own aquafaba. I thought it was sort of like a canned bean chickpea juice that makes the aquafaba, because that's a special liquid in of itself that, kind of, I don't, high pressure environment. They cook the beans in the can, and they kind of have that high pressure. And it's interesting that they've, turned it into this, whipped cream kind of meringue substitute. And I've never tried it myself, but that is obviously what we usually kind of rinse off. Obviously there's some good nutrients in there. This is the water soluble ones, but it also, I don't know if anyone else has an experience where, was it hard to digest? I don't know. Yeah. So that's the best I can tell you there. Yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. We're done.